All right. Hi, folks. It's really good to see people. Valhini, Rema, hi. Fiona, Emily, Antonio, hi. It's good to see folks from kind of all over. Um, Folks, I've met many folks, Kavi, Daniel, Zach, Mark, hi. Um, Julia, really, really good to see folks. We are a good crew today. Um, and I'm sure more folks will trickle in, but given that this is the first event of the semester, um, and we have some good energy around everything. I figured we'd just go ahead and get started. So for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Carly Schnitzler, and with Lillian Yvonne Bertram, who I think will be joining us shortly. We've been running If Then Technology and Poetics together for the last 5 years. We host during the academic school year a monthly workshops. And then as of last year, we've been doing some small groups. Those will be announced and as sort of like accountability and or like interest or genre specific type of thing. So stay tuned for that. Um, as usual, this is Zoom. You know the drill. If you need to like turn cameras on or off, please feel free to do that. Have a snack, get up, stretch your legs, whatever needs to happen can happen. You're a person in a body first and foremost. Um, if you would like to have captions going, just hit the show captions button at the bottom of the screen. You'll also notice that we're recording, and that recording will live in our like unlisted little YouTube archive, which I think Rema will talk a little bit more about later, in our plans and ideas for that. I'm gonna drop the agenda for today in the chat. This is just sort of like another way of like archiving and understanding what we're up to together. Links that will be shared will be put in here. Um, and there's a link to join our Discord and contact list as well. That's my housekeeping, but I'm really excited to see everyone. Uh, we have a really fun fall of events planned, and I hope to see you at more than one of these events. Um, yeah, I'll turn it over to Halim, but while Halim is introducing himself in more depth, if you would like to introduce yourself, I see folks saying hi in the chat already. Just say your name, pronouns, maybe where you are in the world, maybe what brought you here, maybe something within your realm of control that's bringing you joy. This is how I'm uh, caveating that these days. Um, yeah, I'd love to just get to know who's in the room and what we're doing and what's making us happy. Um, oh, thanks, Antonio. It's good to see you. Um, okay, I'll turn it over to Halim. I'm really excited to have Halim with us again. Halim did an amazing event on weirding the web in the spring, so that's in the archive if you're curious what we were up to in the spring. Um, we're going to be weirding AI, and I am excited to like dig into more of what that might entail. Halim is a programmer, a poet, and a present-day storyteller who embodies and studies migrant and cyborg consciousness and their ability to weave new understandings from conflicting worldscapes. He collects and performs tales of border-crossing bodies, syncretic glitches, Métis outsiders, and sites of transformation who hold keys to a different futuring. And this is like probably the most beautiful bio that I've come across. So I just wanted to read it. All right, that's enough of me talking. Halim, I will turn it over to you.
Carly, thank you so much. Hi everyone. It's awesome actually to see so many familiar faces from the last workshop and from ELO. It was awesome to see some of you in Toronto. So thank you for making this. All right, there's a lot to cover. We might not cover everything. Do not feel do not feel like we're, missing out or stressed about the whole thing. I'm probably going to send afterwards the steps to whatever we need to do so that you have a way to basically catch up or get the thing done once we're done and if we're not done on time. Um, Welcome to this fine tuning workshop. Sharing my screen here. Cool. So some of you were at Weirding the Web. This is Weirding AI, fine-tuning for artists and poets. And I think the way I've been sharing this is part of a multi-part curriculum where I teach artists and poets effectively the few pillars of AI agents, RAG, fine-tuning, even evals, actually, evaluations for models. I'll tell you a bit more maybe about that. But the idea here is to use AI almost the way a painter might use a brush as a medium. It's an invitation to approach LLMs maybe almost like as a stochastic paintbrush of sorts. And the best way I have to explain this is with a story. A friend called Matt shared this picture with me a while ago. So Matt is a philosopher here in at CIIS, and he asked GPT-4o to create an image of Schelling's absolute organicism. And when he got this, he said, "This is conceptually good, but make the image look more photorealistic." And when he sent that prompt, he got this. A black man looking at a pregnancy test. Let me look at your faces just to see whether you're as weirded out by this as I am. It's hilarious in some ways. It's strange. It's what is happening here. But I feel the most interesting things make you laugh then pause often. Um, Another story I heard lately is another friend was, and these are anecdotes, like I have no idea the level of veracity. Um, this other friend told me about a research talk where folks were reporting about how you can change, some folks who did some research on AI. You can apparently change some pixels on a beer picture and ask an LLM to identify it, and the LLM won't recognize it as a beer, but as an ostrich. And what's interesting about this story is that in the audience there was an artist who raised their hand and asked, uh, "What if it's right? What if, what if it's right? What if that picture is actually an ostrich? As in, what if there's a logic or a higher dimensionality, a universe of adjacencies where this dot connection somehow makes sense, and that and we cannot access that logic, and of course, we've shelved these phenomena as hallucinations and actively tried to drive them out of our systems. It's some of the stuff I do now on a daily, day-to-day basis. I'll get to that. But to draw a parallel with what's happening in the AR world today, the electronic synthesizer world actually is a good parallel and an analogy. A lot of the OG folks from the synth world, will tell you that so some of the folks basically who created machines like these ones on the left that look a bit like airplane dashboards, complain that now we have these very simple keyboards for everyone. And you notice the smiley face, right, to make it even more user friendly. And their complaint is that if you simplify the interface, you lose all of the nuanced possibilities, right? The full machinery opens so many possibilities, and then when you simplify that interface, folks become more likely to produce the same things. Which brings me to this, right? You see what I'm getting at. The LLM keyboard is an erasure of possibilities of sorts, like so little, right? You have a few buttons here to select what mode you want, and even less so since GPT-5. But there is a simplification here. There are possibilities that are being lost. And you might have seen this picture. Um, Notice the smiley face again. This is what was it? Cheryl, I forgot the name, but basically there's a monster out there. The idea is that this is unsupervised learning. We've created some monster basically. Then we've put supervised fine tuning on top. A human face. And then reinforced learning through human feedback effectively gave us this very simple interface. The parallel can be drawn as well for image generation. Back when we had in Google's very early experiments with this, we had this kind of imagery effectively being created, like a furry land meets some kind of dreamscape, and now we have a Ghiblified world. And so one other metaphor is that we're breaking high-dimensional horses through pre-training and reinforcement learning through human feedback. Like this Mustang that we used to have is now a steady steed, or like we turned a wolf into a dog, and something was lost as the fangs disappeared. And I know I'm romanticizing this in some ways. Like this is at the end of the day, this is machinery. But what's interesting when I do romanticize this is that there's a certain feeling of sadness and grief that we have turned something wild into something much tamer. As in, someone took the machine's wildness away, and somehow that's sad. And so the invitation today really is to touch these weird feelings, to maybe feed them, to feed the monster again, and to brainwash the monster, to mold it, unleash it, touch it. Usually, this is a 2 day workshop. I promise we can get through a bunch in just the hour we have. But the story gets weirder. A bit about me here. My name's Halim. I majored in data science and machine learning. I founded a couple of VC-backed companies. I worked at Meta on mixed reality and Facebook avatars, at Stripe on Stripe dashboards and Stripe documentation, developer experience. I'm currently working at a company called Mistral AI, which is the leading LLM in Europe. And I focus on memories, model tone, and behavior. And on the other side of this, weird vertical green line, I've been a poet and a practicing artist for the last 15 years and full time pretty much for over a year now. I was an artist in residence in 2024 at Gray Area. I'm currently an artist in residence at a performance space called Counterpulse. I grew up as a kind of theater kid in Beirut, and so for the longest time, theater was the original immersive technology for me. And I found some of that trance watching and participating in theater plays in VR, and also like these handmade websites that I found later on through computational poetics, gave me a sense of that immersion. And so today, my practice is very much about mixing poetry, spoken word, digital art, and theater to craft intimate moments of sorts. I want to be in that relationship, that present moment with the audience. I see what I do almost as an attempt to like plant secrets in people's minds and heart, and today's workshop hopefully is an extension of that passion, and an attempt to communicate that I've felt communicating with the machine and brainwashing it. The most relevant to today's workshop, I'll cover this before we jump into the making and the doing, is this company I started about 10 years ago called Invisible, ironically, invisible.co. I stepped away 10 years ago to work on virtual reality at Meta. But I stayed on as an advisor since then. And today, Invisible is it's a unicorn several times over. It's one of the fastest growing AI companies with OpenAI, Microsoft, and Amazon as clients. And you could actually argue that ChatGPT would not be as good as it is had it not been for Invisible, because Invisible is responsible for the reinforcement learning using human feedback bit. They hire thousands of agents around the world that train the machine effectively. And so the punchline is that Invisible is arguably the leader in RLHF, and the reason why this monster has now been tamed in some way. Invisible is responsible for this last bit. But I'd love to reverse that. I'd love to I'd love to reintroduce the monster, to feed the monster again, and that's the invitation today. Awesome. And so for our session today, the two key outcomes is really to fine tune and deploy a chatbot. I hope that by the end of this, and I think it's possible, by the end of this session, we'll be able to, most of you will basically have a functioning chatbot with a very specific and peculiar voice. And throughout the process, hopefully, as you do all of this, hopefully you boost your AI fluency in general and knowledge of these tools and just get familiar with them, break the ice in some way. And more so, touch some code. I mean, very little, but some. And so hopefully get a bit more familiar with all of that. We're not going to be doing vibe coding, but I do have a repo that you'll be copying, and at least that'll be an introduction for those of you who are not familiar with that. Cool. And so the five-step process we'll follow to make that happen is, there's a small overview and demo that I'm going to do. We're going to prepare and upload the data set. I'll give you some time to prep that. It's kind of this is where you're really controlling and starting to design that voice. Then we'll fine tune and test the model. As that's happening, we'll customize the chatbot interface and then we'll deploy and share the chatbot. The end result is something like this. And let me demo it for you. So you can see here two chatbots of sorts. On the left, you have an AI clone of myself, and on the right, you have GPT-5. And we're going to ask both of them something similar. So this was trained on my latest poetry book, which is me spending the pandemic replying to scam texts with poetry. And I would get these scam texts like this: Alan, don't forget our appointment tomorrow. So I'm going to put this in both. Mine is probably going to be taking a bit longer, and then GPT-5 on the other end. Cool. Let's start with GPT-5 just because why is it thinking for longer for a better answer? Please skip. All right, got it. Here's a short reminder you can send. Alan, just a quick reminder about our appointment tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much, GPT-5. Really appreciate it. Okay, on my side, I can't make it, Anne. My doctor just called. I have a flu. Yesterday, I roamed the streets putting up flyers. Have a flu. Forget your daughter's piano recital. Tell your friends to cancel that awakening party, but kiss your mother goodbye and let her cure a world going mad with aging furious fungal fever. Anne, get well in your stupor. You can miss recitals too. It's very much my poetry tone. There's something of like a scandalous, over the top, romantic tone. And so yeah, I'm pretty proud of that, but it's just crazy and I love it. So yeah, it's very much my voice. I really like it. So you see what's happening here. This bot actually cannot be jailbroken, as in you can talk to it all day. It deeply believes that it is whatever my voice is, right? It does not remember that it is GPT. And that is the power of fine tuning. So let's talk about fine tuning for a second. Up. If prompt engineering, right, when you tell GPT, hey, you're a therapist, please help me. If prompt engineering is the equivalent of asking a model to act like a product manager or a therapist or a coach, fine-tuning is the equivalent of brainwashing the machine to become a therapist or a coach, right? So if prompt engineering is almost like a method acting, right? Yeah, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis still remembers he's Daniel Day-Lewis. Brainwashing is you are now the last of the Mohicans, okay? Cool. And so fine tuning is awesome because there's deep personalization. You really mimic a style and a tone and domain. I mean, for an artist and a poet, this is amazing, right? Like when I discovered this was awesome. And then the thing is, it's high effort and high precision. So there's accuracy, yes, but then there is quite a bit of effort, and you need to upload the data set, etc., rather than just ask it to be Gertrude Stein. And it's fixed knowledge, faster responses. So it is fixed knowledge. If you want to change something, you need to update the entire data set. That's important. Cool. And so it's like a small table, fine tuning, prompt engineering, and RAG. And you can see actually they're quite complementary in some way, as in fine tuning is great at customization and accuracy, but not so much on flexibility and cost and effort. This is a table I usually show to less technical product managers that I need to teach this stuff to. What's cool is, oh, what if we could combine both fine tuning and RAG? And we can absolutely do that, just not this workshop. That's it's just a bit of a stretch. Cool. And so things, in the industry basically that people do is people have been creating these things for AI assistants, automating internal workflows and the such. What I do is I create non-human poets, right? I want to create a poet that can truly pull on the strings of our hearts. And for us never to, yeah, the Turing test basically, but for poetry, right? Awesome. And so again, this is the end result that we're all driving towards. And here are the four steps. And so data prep, fine tuning, bot interface, deployment, and chatbot. And you can think of it as two parts. The first one is model creation. We're going to create a model, create a voice, create a non-human poet or whatever. So start thinking actually about what is the data set you want to upload in there. And I'll show you a few examples as well. I'll give you a whole thing now. But what is that voice that you want to create? What is that voice that you want to bring into existence? What is this thing that you want to externalize? Back to Stiegler. What is it? I mean, we've been externalizing memories for the longest time. What is this voice within us that we want to externalize, right? This part of us, this part of our soul that we want to externalize, with all the freakiness and fear that might trigger, but also beauty. And then on the other hand is the app creation, right? What is the body that we want to give to this monster? All right. Um, Before the 3 pointers, I'm actually going to show you the process itself. Here you go. So the very first thing we'll do is actually up this. We'll play with this table. I'll show you basically this is your data set and what you need to upload. I'll give you some examples. We'll turn that CSV into a JSON-L. The JSON-L will upload into the fine-tuning interface on OpenAI. Why are we using OpenAI versus Mistral versus anything else? It's because they actually have the easiest, most accessible tools right now on the market. And so that will be the easiest for people to get started and going fast. Then for the body, for the interface, we'll use a repo that I created, just a very easy example that you'll get to copy. And once you copy it, edit it, you will use Vercel to deploy it. Vercel is probably the fastest, easiest way to deploy a website nowadays. And once it's done, you'll get something along these lines. You can change the logo, change the words that are used here, change the examples for the user, all of these things. And voila, then you'll have your little functioning chatbot with its own voice. And you can imagine how you can repeat this process with different voices over and over. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. All right. So a few pointers before we do that. Sorry for the tech. Okay. So one, there are a lot of actually the very first pointer is the fact that I'm going to be sharing my screen most of the time, and so I encourage you to follow along step by step. I am going to pause for questions. So whenever there's like a question slide, please ask some questions, but keep in mind that we don't have a lot of time, and so I might just have to interrupt. Apologies in advance. There are many of you and just one of me, and so I'm going to do my best to support everyone. If somebody just can't progress. But again, because of the lack of time, we're going to have to keep moving. Apologies again. And there are a lot of concepts that I'm not covering here. There's no way. And so this is very much a do and learn type of thing. And then an opportunity maybe to double click into all of these things from embeddings to multimodal models out there to model pruning and data labeling, etc. There's quite a few things we could be talking about. Awesome. And so pausing a quick second for questions before we jump into the doing. Any questions? Maybe I'll take one question. Let me see the chat. Furious fungal fever. I agree. That was a great line. I liked it too. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to keep going and then you can drop your questions in the chat and yeah, we'll go from there. All right. Let's prepare and upload the dataset. So, as I told you, this is the very first step of this four-step process, the data preparation. And it's frankly the key. It's this idea that we're turning the act of writing into data preparation, right? The writer as data analyst or data engineer, writing as data. And I'm going to drop a link into the chat that you all can access. So, data prep. Cool. And once everyone lands on here, I'm going to walk you through this. Awesome. Welcome to the koalas, the iguanas, the armadillos, the hamsters, and the entire zoo. All right. So this is what we're going to complete. Actually, copy this into your own drive. And what we're going to do is really create 10 rows, only 10, because that's enough to fine tune. The more the better, the more precise the voice. But then again, the model is versatile enough to be able to learn from 10 examples. All of in the system, what we'll put under the system column is a description of what this model does. And so in this case, this is very simple. Actually, this is a boring example. Let's take the adversarial grandpa. You are the user's adversarial grandfather, responding with condescension, skepticism, and mild disappointment at the new generation. The reason why we need the system prompt is because this is going to be our fallback whenever the model does not find a good response just based on the examples we gave it. So usually it can extrapolate, but sometimes it'll have to fall back on this. And so, and then, so hence, under user, we're going to, this is where we almost like enter this world of conversational design, right? And conversation as the new user experience and interface. And so what I need you to put under user is what you think the user might ask. And this could be really anything from like, how do I fix an error in my code? Can you explain how cryptocurrencies work? And just absurd stuff like this. What's the best way to stay fit these days? It's quite broad because I want it to cover enough range so that the model learns. And then under assistant, I put some examples of answers. So here's an answer to how can I improve my communication skills? The adversarial grandfather would say something like communication skills. Try looking people in the eye and saying what you mean. Worked fine for me. You don't need a TED talk for that, etc. So you see the tone, right? And so we're really designing almost I mean, we're doing what Beckett and Ionesco might have done, writing plays, really imagining characters here, right? And so, yeah, start thinking about, again, what voice do you want to bring into existence and or externalize and put out there in the world. All right. Um, if this is clear enough, so you can do two things. You can literally, if you don't have something in mind, I'm going to give us maybe five minutes. If you don't have something in mind, let me start the timer now. Okay, 5 minutes starting now. So if you have some data, start putting it together. You could even use an LLM to clean it up. And the idea is to put, again, a system prompt, 10 rows, some questions the user might ask, and some things the assistant might answer. Okay. Um, so go ahead and do that. LLMs will absolutely accelerate the process. For those of you who don't feel like doing that, feel free to use one of these examples. And once that's done and the 5 minutes are done, I'm going to call us back and take us through the next steps. In the meantime, I'll answer any chats.
It looks like there are two questions for
Yep.
you, Halim, in the chat.
Yes,
Um, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you're on it.
I'm on it. Thank you. 30 more seconds. Okay, awesome. Um, Pausing for a minute for any questions. Anything came up for anyone? Okay, great. So next steps, if you've created your own data set, that's amazing. Good job. In 5 minutes, I'm really impressed. For those who did not, you can use any of these examples that I have. Like some of these are obviously what I use for teams that I work with and or for sentiment-driven churn prediction and customer support, etc. With adversarial grandpa is pretty fun. A scam poet AI sample, I realize I only put 2 lines. Um, this is actually WOMP. I like, I put in like whose writing is a mix of Ocean Vuong and Charles Bernstein. Since then, I think I've iterated on that to try and like nail a bit more the tone that I might be looking at as a backup to the actual examples I give. Um, Personal voice model, etc. And so the invitation here is to do the following. So we're going to move on to the next steps. Next step here, we're done with this. And so the next step is to export as CSV. So now oh, sorry. So let's export basically the data that we've created. So I want you on whichever sheet and whichever example you would like to work with, let's do this. I would love you to click on File, go to Download, go to CSV. So again, File, download CSV on the sheet that you're interested and the examples you're interested in working on. And now it's downloaded. It should end up in your downloads. And so in my case here, it is as the adversary. Oh, what did I? This is the personal voice model. This is the grandpa one. Obviously, I was testing this before. And so once you have it in your CSVs, that's great. What we're going to do next is turn the CSV into another format called JSON-L, which is what the preferred actually format for these models to ingest whenever fine-tuning. And so this is a very handy little website that will turn your CSV into a JSON-L. And for those familiar with JSON, JSON-L is simply just putting all the JSON on a single line. And what you're going to do basically is click on this button on this website, OpenAI fine-tune CSV to JSON line. So you click on it, you go to, I'm going to pick the adversarial grandpa one. I'm going to open it, and you should see it recognize the fields, so the columns that we've named. And this is pretty straightforward. You just map each of these to the same field. So system is system, user is user, and assistant is assistant. Pausing here for any questions if it's not clear enough. We're good. Awesome. And click on done. This will generate the JSON-L file, and you will download this file. It will also end up in your downloads. And what I'd love you to do now that it's in your downloads, so find the JSON-L file. In this case, I believe this is mine. I need you to rename it to something much simpler, just because we need the name to not have all of these underscores, etc. So in my case, I'll call it adversarial grandpa 2, just because I have a 1 and a 2. And so here it is. And now it's adversarial row. Okay. Awesome. Now that you have this, I would like you to go to platform.openai.com. And so now we're moving on to this step, everyone, to the fine tune and test the model. So within model creation, we're done with the data prep and we've moved on to the fine tuning. Okay. And so let me put the screen away. And so now we are here. Let me send you this link. So I am now on platform.openai.com. You might need to create an account. Please do. Um, I think now that I'm thinking, you might need to fund your account, in which case you need to put like just like $5 or even a buck actually should be enough. There might be a $5 minimum. In which case you need to go to billing and basically add to the credit balance. And so, yeah, shouldn't be too much, but effectively, once you land here, two things to do. So go to your settings, go to billing, add $5, and then once you're done, go to the dashboard and we'll go to fine tuning. And so I'm going to write down these steps within the chat. So platform.openai.com, then go to settings, then go to billing, add $5 to balance, then go to dashboard and to fine tuning on the left hand side. Voila. Well, I'm gonna give us 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I hope that's enough. If not, stop me. Daniel, yes, I have with Olama and with open source language models. I'm happy sending actually how to do it with Mistral. It's quite straightforward. It's just that, yeah, interface wise, this one is probably the easiest just to get familiar with the whole thing, but it's very similar with open source models. Yeah. Kavi, thank you for sharing. This is super interesting. Yes, and yeah, I watched Katie's video. It's pretty cool. The setting, let me send you the link, Shwanting. You will probably find it right here. Voila. Cool. Okay. Um, if anyone is very much behind, please let me know. If not, I'm going to share the next steps. And so, um, right now, what we're going to do is create an OpenAI platform account. We are in the playground or the dashboard. We are under fine tuning. And what we're going to do is to create a new voice, a new model, fine tune the model. And so I click on create right here in the upper right-hand side. Your screen should be empty of all of this, unless you've done this before. And so click on create. Method is going to be supervised for now. The base model, the one that's fastest, and I'm hoping that it does actually fine-tune the model within 10 minutes, is going to be nano. The smaller the model, the faster the fine-tuning. For the suffix, call it wherever you want to call it. In my case, I'm going to call it adversarial grandpa. Keep the name simple, so just like these small dashes, else it's going to bug. And upload your JSON-L file. So in my case, adversarial grandpa 2. Voila. and it's gonna switch to select existing because it is one of the files I've already used. In your case, it's going to stay on upload new. But basically, we have supervised, nano as the model, the suffix is adversarial grandpa, the training data is the JSON-L file we've just created. You can keep everything the same. You can play around with these things. It's in our case, unless we want to get really specific about some some model behaviors and exactly how the model is being trained, we don't really need to play with these things. And so once all of that is done, let me check the questions first. And yes, it's true that you do need, um, yep, exactly. Cardi, you can use Google Colab, and that helps. It gives you GPUs basically. Peter, we are going to be sending a YouTube, so yeah, no worries. Awesome, thank you. All right, for everyone else, you can just click on create, and it will start training the model. Okay. So that's what's happening in the backend. At one point you'll have very nice graphs explaining the loss log, the accuracy of the training itself, with some checkpoints, etc. Um, and for our purposes, we are going to keep going. So while the model is being trained, we're going to customize the chatbot interface. And so we worked on chatbot on model creation for a sec, and now we're going to move to app creation. And so the front end of all of this. And for that, we need a container. We need back to the analogy and the metaphor of the monster. If we're now that the voice is being trained, we need a body, and the body is going to look something like this, right? So example 1, 2, 3 with a voice powering it in the backend. And to create that body, here is a very simple way to do it. Go to this repo. This is a repo I created to make it easier, basically, for folks to just take an AI interface that's very simple to use and then deploy it. And so we're going to play around with that. Once you land there, you can give me a star if you that will up put my little project up there and make it easier to find for future learners. Um, and so once you're here, I'll give you a minute and tell you what we're going to do next. Maybe give me a thumbs up if you are on this screen. Thank you, Mark. Everyone, yes? Yeah, awesome. Tanya, great. Cool. Voini, thank you. Cool. So now that you're here, here's what I'd love to do. Click on codes. And what we're going to do effectively, we're cloning the repo, but we're cloning the repository, the code repository in a very simple way. What's happening here is effectively think of GitHub as a Dropbox, and what you're doing is basically copying one of these Dropbox files, cloning it. But instead of using a code editor, we're just going to download the zip. And so once you just click on download zip, it should land in your downloads. Here, AI interface main zip. And so if you have it, double click on it. That will unzip it. I've already done this here. And once you have this, please be careful. Make sure all of these files are in there. And I'll tell you why you need to be careful. So one, by the way, if you don't have a GitHub account, you will need a GitHub account. So I'll give you a second maybe to create one. And so yeah, let's take a minute for you to create a GitHub account. Let's see if we can get this done in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna assume that people have a GitHub account now. If you go to your settings right here, and if you go into repositories, click on repositories, And this is really the easiest way to clone a repo. You can click on New. You can name the repo whatever you want. I'm going to call it grandpa2 if then. You can keep it public, make it private, whatever feels best. And once that's done, you can create the repository. Et voila, you now have a repo. So you have, think of it as a, for those not familiar with this, it's almost like an empty Dropbox folder. And we are going to upload an existing file into this folder. So one more time, I just created this repo by going to settings, clicking on repo, clicking on new. I named the repo, I created the repo, and now I'm here and I am going to upload an existing file. Pausing a bit, any questions? Anyone? We good? Okay, awesome. Great. So once you're here, this is where I need you to be careful because if you're on a Mac, it'll take you, you really need to go into the file. For some reason, it's a bit finicky, but you can't just like click on choose your files. It will not upload the right files. I actually need you to drag and drop this. And so go here within that unzipped file, grab all of them, all 12, upload them. Sure enough, it will upload them. And once that's done, you can click on commit changes. If you're on a PC, again, make sure all 12 files are being dragged and dropped. All 12 elements are dragged and dropped, and should be a total of 19 files actually. And so once it's done, or 19 uploads. Once it's done, you can click on commit changes. And now I have a cloned repo. I have cloned my previous repo. And so this is grandpa2 if then. Gretenpa, sorry, of course. Gretenpa to if then. And this repo is now ready to be edited. Okay. And so here's what we just did. In the app creation phase, we just got the bot interface. Now, let's make sure we change it a bit because right now you have this example 1, 2, and 3, or that's what you will get once you deploy. But I'd love you to just like change a few things. You are going to change, let me move this here. So within, and this is, I guess, as close to coding as we are going to get in this workshop. You can click on public, and on app, and within app you can click on page TSX, which is the equivalent actually of think of it index HTML for those who are familiar with HTML. And here you can click on the small pencil. So basically we are in a code editor here. And you can change line 17, 18, and 19. And by changing these, what you'll have done is changing these 3 examples. And ideally, you can change them to reflect basically whatever you want, the user to type. And so in my case, for instance, this is the adversarial grandpa. I can like copy this, go here, put it in. Make sure you keep the quotation marks. It's a bit sensitive. This and this. Voila. And another thing you can change is line 86, just to give a different name. Hi, I'm a fine-tuned LLM. Hi, I'm your adversarial grandpa. Call me Jiddo, which is grandpa in Arabic. Is there a reason one shouldn't fork the repo instead of cloning it? You can, Steve. Yeah. No, you could do that if you like. Just simpler to clone for the edits just to get I guess I think I designed it this way just for folks who are less familiar with forking. Okay, now that you've done these things, you can commit the changes. Voila, committed. We're gonna check, let's check back. In my case, it failed. Did it fail? Why did it fail? Okay. Can you check back? Did your training fail? Did any of your training fail? Accessing your files right now. Yeah.
I'm seeing none.
Yes. Carly, did yours fail?
I have been monitoring the chat and not training, so
Okay, got it.
but I've been seeing nods.
Co- so meaning, did it fail or is it not fail? Is it working? Vahini, Mark?
I think people's are saying they failed.
Oh, they failed. Okay, great. We have a problem. Awesome. Mine failed, got the same error. Okay, mine is still training. So it's happened before because this is ridiculous, but probably because we're several on this call and trying to train at the same time, and so we're effectively overloading the thing. I did the same thing right before this workshop, 10 minutes before, and did not fail, and so it's a thing. I'm not sure what's happening on the other side of the wall. Here's what we can do. So I can literally pass on a different this model and you can use it. But effectively, try again after this course, and hopefully it won't fail. And once it doesn't fail, what you're going to do is basically take, and I'll send you these, or hopefully you can look at the recording afterwards. What you need to do is basically literally take the name of the model, and you'll see here. So you go into root.ts, right? Where's the API? There you go. You go into root.ts right here. And on line 19, it's pretty simple. This is the AI poet that I created that replied with a very strange voice earlier. If you edit this file and effectively change this model to be this model instead, voila. Now you're going to almost like change the brains of this thing, and you're going to get an adversarial grandpa on the other side instead of the strange poet. Cool. And so again, I'll need you to look at the recording afterwards. But I do want to share the last bit of this, which is deployment, so that you actually get at least the chatbot, and then you can get back to this and change the root.ts to make sure that the voice or the model you trained is actually being expressed through that interface. But as a last step, please go to vercel.com. So, and this is the deployment stage. Ah, Antonio. Okay. 10. Oh, Dashiell. Interesting. Okay. I feel less alone. OpenAI might be taking a nap as well. Yes. Cool. I love the parallel conversation in the chat. So go to vercel.com, create an account if you don't have one. The easiest way now that you have a GitHub account actually is to log on with GitHub. Um, and what you should see once you have a Vercel account is something along these lines. Either see an add new button or something like this. You're likely, if this is like your first time using Vercel, especially, you're going to see something like this. And it might be that you see here a way to connect your GitHub, so please do. And once you connect your GitHub, you can click basically on import the last project, which we've already created. And this is where there's a small thing to do here, which is you need to add your OpenAI key. And so in my case, I'll just chop. You can find this right here. I'm realizing that an hour is very little time. Um, you can create a new secret key here. So back to platform.openai.com, you can create a new secret key, name it whatever you want. Once the key is created, you can give it all permissions. Um, and then once the key is created, you need to put a few things. Let me stop sharing just to show you what you'll need to put in. And hopefully you can go back to this YouTube video later for all of us in the future watching this. Yep. Okay, so in this little bit, I need you to just write OpenAI underscore API underscore key. I'm pasting it here. And then in the value, you need to put your actual key. So this is where I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll put my key in, and then hopefully you put yours the one you just found on the uh, on OpenAI itself, and it should start with SK, by the way. So voila. Okay, I just pasted it. I am deploying, and I clicked on deploy basically. And you can see here. So effectively, I now have this GitHub connected. I have the project name here. It recognized which framework I'm using, and it is deploying. And with a bit of luck, this will end at precisely 11 a.m. and we will see the outcome, and hopefully it'll be an actual adversarial grandfather, which will make for a successful demo, but I don't know if enough of you were able to actually, yeah, uh, accomplish all of this. I hope you made progress, and if not, please let me know, email me. You have my email now. Okay, fingers crossed. And by the way, if you do want me to like reach out and or have any questions and or have any feedback, this is a feedback form. I'd appreciate you filling it out with any thoughts. Yeah. Uh, and here we have. So we have the websites, the chatbot. Let's test it out. So how do I fix this error in my code? How can I improve my communication skills? All right. Clicking on it. Fingers crossed. Will you be an adversarial grandpa? Speak less, listen more, find the silence between words and fill it with presence. Your voice doesn't need to carry everything. Sounds adversarial enough to me. Okay. Cool. Um, Thank you, everyone. I'm going to pause, stop my screen share. And yeah, if you have any questions about any of this, for folks who want to stay longer, I can stay for a bit. We can just have a chat. Thank you for being part of this very, very fast workshop. I appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you, Bhavini. Thank you, everyone. Well,
Snaps, claps. Thank you for sharing, Halim.
thank you.
Um, Vohini's asking, where can we find slash attend the 2 day longer
Yeah,
version
yeah,
of
yeah. I mean,
this?
yeah, I'm teaching at UC Berkeley next week. Um, it's been just thanks to being part of this community. I think a bunch of folks are interested in bringing this either to their students or their faculties, and I'm super happy to just yeah teach this either remotely or in person. It's really fun, and it's exactly the kind of querying, weirding that I would love people to engage in when it comes to AI. So yeah, this is very fun to do. Yeah. So please reach out. My email is right here.
And it'll go, everything's going. I tried to keep up with the instructions and everything and put them in and put all the resources in the agenda for
Mm,
folks who like want to kind of parallel that with recording for like future exploration.
mm.
Um, Halim, I really like how this is I mean, this was kind of a whirlwind. It was amazing. Thank you.
Sorry.
Um, but I think this is like a really it's sort of fun to see like the problems and possibilities that come up like between
Yeah.
platforms and tools.
Mhm.
As you know, and as I mentioned earlier, Katie Giro, who's like a friend of mine, computer scientist, poet, did a workshop on fine-tuning with a much larger data set
Cool. Yeah.
in Google Colab notebooks through like Olama and like other open source data sets that
Yeah.
like it has its pros and cons in terms of like platform privacy, amount of data, etc.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and so I like that you like this feels like a nice sort of like lower lift complement using more commercialized tools.
Yeah. Mm.
And I think like the user friendliness is like quite helpful.
Yeah,
So
and I hear everyone. I mean, I work for an open source company precisely because it is more aligned with my values, frankly. And here is the repo I actually created for. So this is this same adversarial grandpa, but created with Mistral and fine-tuned on Mistral. Feel free to clone this repo and work with it. The only thing is that if we go through the Mistral platform, it is we are, a few months behind OpenAI from a user friendliness perspective. We're absolutely going to catch up, but yeah, it takes a while. And so yeah, that's why I end up teaching with these tools for the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, this is amazing. And I think like the optionality of what we've done is like quite nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
Cool. I know I see folks jumping off.
Goodbye,
Lots of
everyone.
appreciation. Thanks, Halim. I think for next time we'll be meeting October, let me get my dates right, 10th. Omayeli Aranyika is going to be doing a workshop that's sort of like uh, a smaller version of something that she's leading at the School for Poetic Computation now, I think. And it's basically looking for moments in analog poetry where one can think with computational tools. So BYO poetry for that one and RSVP. Um, and for those still here, is Rema still here? Yeah, Rema's here. Um, Rema and I have been thinking about we've been working on an archive project for If Then and a sort of website revamp and sort of need your help on that. So Rema, do you want to share a little bit?
Yeah, I'll keep this real quick since we're over time. But yeah, I'll be helping Carly and Lillian create a new version of the If Then website. Part of that update will include a lot more of the archival data that Ella has been doing to create records of prior If Then events. Ella is a student researcher working with Carly to gather and organize transcripts, agendas, resources, technical artifacts. So I just wanted to get some claps in chat for Ella. 'Cause thank her for all of her
Yeah.
hard work putting that together. One of the goals for the new website is to surface some of this archival data in ways that can help the community reference and reflect on past events while also being a cool showcase of all the cool stuff we've shared, discussed, and facilitated over the years. In longer term, I think we'd like to make some of the data available to community members in a programmatic API sort of way, which would allow us in the community to remix, iterate, create some unique interfaces to our shared memories. Uh, One of the things, though, that we got to keep in mind is that, public visibility in today's world can also create vulnerabilities. And when I was talking with Carly about this, we kind of realized that it's not really our place to make assumptions and speak for the whole community. So Carly has created a community forum in the Discord where we want to make sure we hear and consider everyone in the community when figuring out how we want to represent our little online creative nook with the rest of the world. So yeah, we want to get this right. So any ideas, thoughts, perspectives, big or small, please hop in the Discord if you have the time and energy. And hopefully we can all figure out how to represent ourselves to the world as a community together.
Cool. Thanks, Rema. Really appreciate you. Thank you, Halim, again. Snaps, claps. Really grateful. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Yeah, October 10th. Take care, y'all. Have a
See
good
you.
weekend.
Thank you again. Bye.